Music is the key to the hearts of most people. It's virtually a source of relief from stress and pressure to a lot of people. If you fall into the category of people who love music for relaxation and you also want to get this soothing pleasure in the car, then, you are certainly welcome to try out the steps outlined in this video. If your car stereo produces tacky sounds or the audio quality isn't good enough, then your system needs an amplifier. An amplifier is an electronic device that increases the input signals it receives from the stereo and gives a stronger output signal to your speakers. So, if your system lacks an amplifier, it is advised you purchase and install one for better performance. On the other hand, if you already have one and you lack the knowledge on how to get your stereo work with it, then feel free to join in. Here are the accessories and kits needed. You might not be well grounded in this area, but you definitely need to get the necessary wiring equipment needed to get the job done. You might think that this will be difficult for you to comprehend and accomplish, but surprisingly it is very easy. When purchasing any of the items, ensure you get the types recommended by the manufacturer. Also adhere strictly to the ratings for each of the wiring kits. So to put things in perspective, we will discuss each wiring kit, its uses, location, how it should be used, and type to be used. So, moving on to the next step, we shall consider the following. 1. Inline fuse. When making electrical connections, it is important that there is a control measure in case there is a fire outbreak that can take you off guard. The inline fuse is designated for this purpose. The fuse was introduced as a precautionary measure to protect wires and components from the extreme heat produced if there is an electrical overload or short circuit of appliances. This also implies that you cannot just use any type of fuse for different sizes, width and length of wire. Now, this is where your manufacturer's ratings come in handy. For any size and length, there is a manufacturer's pick on the type of fuse you are supposed to use. For the size of your vehicle, the length of wires to be used should be at the range of 16 to 20 foot, and you can use the following fuse ratings for wire gauge, such as a 25 ampere fuse for a 10 gauge wire, a 60 ampere fuse for a 8 gauge wire, a 100 ampere fuse for an 8 gauge wire, and a fuse rating of 250 amperes for 1 or 0 gauge wire. 2. RCA cables. The connections carrying input and output signals from the stereo and the amplifier are only done via RCA cables. These cables are a certain type of wires which usually come in pairs. This type is important because essential electric signals travel through the stereo to the amplifier and vice versa. 3. Speaker wires. When connecting to the speakers, it ought to be from the output of the amplifier, which is set up through a connection to the stereo. The recommended thickness and the size should be between 18 and 14 gauge, which you can pick to suit your convenience and for the subwoofers. 3. Ground wires. Ground wires are used to earth electric circuits to channel currents. This is done to avoid short circuit, electric shocks and any other related calamities that may occur during electric fluctuations or lightning. Wires meant for earthing ought to be thick in size to be able to accommodate the car stereo needs. Using thinner wires could be hazardous to the user and could be putting their life at risk. 4. Power cable. Similar to the ground wires, you have to use thicker wires in order to accommodate the current and voltage coming in. In this case, the power cable must be thicker in width because it is connected from the battery, which generates electricity supplied to the amplifier and stereo. Now, here are the steps to take. 1. Disconnecting the battery terminal. This is a precautionary measure taken when you are about to carry out the installation of a car stereo. This is because you could get electrocuted when trying to get the connection fixed. 2. Install the amplifier. You are advised to fasten your amplifier to the best location with a screw to prevent it from falling out of place unexpectedly. You can make a hole that can fit through the amplifier to ensure that damages are not done to the vehicle bodywork. 3. Connecting the power cable. When connecting the power cable, find a grommet that can accommodate the size of wire to be used. The wire should be placed in your vehicle's firewall, where it would be connected from your car's battery through to the amplifier. The essence of the grommet is to protect the power cable from wearing out and getting short-circuited. This part of the connection is important because the power cable is responsible for the powering of the stereo and the amplifier. 4. Installation of fuse. Most of the electrical devices come with installed fuse and circuit breaker devices in case of unforeseen electrical difficulties. The power cable may be included with a fuse, but if not, then cut the power cable at a particular junction. Keep at least 15 cm gap away from the terminal and get the fuse holder within that region so it can be taken care of there. 5. Confirming the signal connections. This is where your RCA cables come to use. You will uninstall the stereo from the dashboard and connect it to the RCA outputs provided. When connecting the cables, ensure they are separated from the power cable to avoid electric field interference when the amplifier is playing music. Now that you have gotten the knowledge you need, we hope you get to enjoy your stereo system to its fullest. If you have any problems, recheck every step and ensure every one of them was followed. If you've enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you'll know once we post a new video. Also drop a comment below so we can know your thoughts. Finally, don't forget to check the description below for more details and visit our site www.caramp.com for more awesome car amplifier content like this.